The call came at 2:47 a.m. inside the low-lit morgue of District 8. The only sounds were the hum of the refrigeration units and the slow drip of rain outside. Then a vibration cut through the silence, a soft, metallic buzz echoing off tiled walls. Technician Menglong Joe, who had worked the night shift for 12 years, froze mid-step. The sound was coming from Locker 14, the one that held the body of actor Menglong, the nation's newest heartthrob whose sudden death had already thrown the entertainment world into chaos. At first, she thought it was one of the staff's phones left behind, but when she slid open the drawer, the vibration grew louder. The morgue tag still hung from his wrist. His personal effects, wallet, chain, and phone, lay sealed in a clear evidence pouch on his chest. The screen glowed through the plastic. Incoming call, unknown number. The phone of a dead man was ringing. By morning, the story had escaped the morgue. Someone leaked the surveillance clip, a 10-second video showing the blue light from the phone illuminating the drawer. It hit the forums at 7:03 a.m., trending by 8. Hashtags flooded timelines, hashtag ghost call, hashtag Menglong mystery, hashtag morgue footage. Authorities rushed to release a statement calling it electromagnetic interference, claiming the device had never been powered down. But people weren't convinced. Menglong's phone required thumbprint or Face ID to unlock, both impossible post-mortem. That afternoon, Menglong received an encrypted email from an address he didn't recognize. No text, just an attachment labeled 14.wave. The file contained 12 seconds of audio, static, faint rhythmic breathing, and then a male voice, hoarse and distant. I told them, the script was wrong. The rest dissolved into static. Menglong replayed it a dozen times, isolating frequencies, filtering noise. The waveform pulsed in regular intervals, like a heartbeat beneath the distortion. The metadata timestamp read 2:47 and 19 seconds a.m., the exact moment the morgue footage showed the phone lighting up. Menglong's rise to fame had been meteoric. 3 years, 4 hit dramas, 1 national award. But behind the perfect image were rumors, a dispute with his director, a quiet lawsuit, a script he refused to film because it felt cursed. In the last week of his life, colleagues said he became erratic, muttering the same phrase, "It's not acting anymore." 2 days later, Menglong tracked down Jian Lu, the paramedic who handled his body that night. They met in a small tea house near the East Bridge. His hands trembled as he stirred his cup. "We were told to leave the phone with him," he said. "That never happens. We always log personal effects." But a man in a gray coat came in with a badge I didn't recognize. Said it was for continuity. Continuity of what? Menglong asked. That's what I asked him. He smiled and said, "The story isn't finished." Jian Lu slid a photo across the table, the same man, standing in the background at a press event for Menglong's final film, Echo Line. His badge bore the emblem of a production company that no longer existed. When the police pulled the actor's call logs, they found one outgoing call made from his number 3 hours after his recorded time of death, the one to the morgue. The signal bounced between 3 towers before vanishing outside the city. The SIM card had already been deactivated. Still, telecom data confirmed the connection lasted 12 seconds. At the studio archives, Menglong found an unfinished promotional clip for Echo Line. In it, Menglong stared straight into the camera and said, "If one day you hear my voice when I'm gone, don't pick up." The producer brushed it off as improv. But the look in his eyes wasn't performance. It was warning. 3 nights later, another morgue technician heard the same ringtone. This time she filmed it clearly. The drawer trembled, the phone flickered between the caller ID and a black background. Forensics studied the footage frame by frame and found a reflection in the drawer handle, a blurred silhouette standing behind her. No one else had entered the room. When they enhanced the still, the figure wore a gray coat. Menglong traced that gray coat to a defunct production house called Nova Arc Pictures. It had dissolved 5 years earlier, its last project a film titled Afterimage, directed by someone under the pseudonym MZ. The synopsis: a man receives calls from his future self warning him not to finish a movie. Only 4 pages of the script remain online. The protagonist's name was Menglong. Menglong visited the actor's old apartment. The landlord had converted it into storage, but the walls were still covered in soundproof foam and red scribbles across the plaster. They want the ending. The camera can't die before I do. Don't let them call back. Behind the mirror, someone had carved 2:47, the time the morgue call occurred. That evening, Menglong's phone rang. Unknown number. The line hissed softly, then a voice came through, distorted but human. You shouldn't have followed the signal, it said. They'll want to use yours next. Then the call ended. The caller ID read, Menglong. When Menglong checked his call log, it was empty. Soon after, the government confiscated the morgue footage and banned any public mention of the case, dismissing it as technical misinformation. The body was reportedly transferred to another facility. Yet a month later, a broken phone identical to Menglong's was found by a fisherman downstream. The SIM card was missing. In an encrypted journalist forum, one anonymous user posted a single message before deleting their account: continuity achieved. The new subject answers. Weeks passed. The storm faded. New headlines replaced the mystery. But one night, while reviewing his files, Menglong received a text. You recorded the heartbeat, didn't you? Attached was another audio clip, the same breathing pattern from the morgue file, only clearer. Beneath it, a whisper. Tell them the story is over. When Menglong replayed it, the last words distorted, or it begins again. He listened until sunrise. The pulse beneath the static matched a human heartbeat, 72 beats per minute. But hidden in the waveform were binary spikes. When decoded, they spelled, Scene 14. Locker 14. The same drawer that had held Menglong's body. The next morning, Menglong went back to the morgue. Locker 14 had been sealed, but curiosity overpowered caution. Inside, the drawer was empty. Only a clean rectangle marked where the phone once lay. On the wall beside the outlet, someone had carved 2 letters, MZ. Menglong's phone buzzed once. Unknown number. He answered. Silence, then a faint click, like a recorder starting. A calm male voice spoke. The continuity is yours now. The line went dead. Outside, the city was waking. Screens flashed with new stories. But in the faint static that hums between frequencies, Menglong sometimes still hears breathing. And when Menglong checks the missed calls list, the number always ends with 147, the same digits as Menglong's. Maybe it's interference. Maybe it's memory. Or maybe stories, once told, never really stop calling back. The morning after the call, Menglong walked into the newsroom with a folder full of contradictions. His editor didn't even look up. Still chasing ghosts? He muttered. Not ghosts, Menglong said. Patterns. He dropped the morgue footage and the call log on his desk. He glanced once, then froze at the 12-second mark where the drawer's handle caught a shadow behind the technician. You enhanced this? I didn't have to, Menglong said. It's clearer now than it was yesterday. The shadow had deepened overnight. Its outline sharper. It wasn't just a man in a coat anymore, it was someone holding a camera. Menglong spent the next 48 hours retracing every route that call signal might have taken. Tower to tower, data center to data center. The path led to an abandoned broadcast hub on the outskirts of the city, an old satellite relay decommissioned years ago. The building still carried faint hums of power. A guard at the gate waved Menglong through. The place had become a storage yard for outdated studio gear. Inside, among racks of rusted transmitters, Menglong found a workstation still connected to the grid. The monitor was black, but when he brushed the mouse, a single window blinked alive. Incoming log, 247. Source, unknown node. File, continuity14.aud. Menglong hit play. Static, then the same rasping voice. Scene 14 incomplete. Replace subject. Resume capture. When Menglong turned, the guard was gone. That night, Menglong interviewed an old lighting technician from Menglong's final film. He spoke only after Menglong promised anonymity. There was a second unit crew none of us recognized, he said. They didn't appear on payroll. Every time Menglong finished a scene, they filmed him again, same lines, same shots, but without direction. Like they were copying the film shot for shot. Why? He hesitated. They called it the insurance version. They said it would keep running even if he didn't. Menglong played him the morgue call recording. His face drained of color. That's the voice of the assistant director. He disappeared after rap day. At the Communications Bureau, Menglong requested archival data from the morgue's cell tower log. The clerk looked nervous. That record was sealed, she said. But if you really want to know who owned the outgoing number, she slid Menglong a slip of paper under the counter. The registration name read, Ming Zhao. Initials MZ. The same initials carved into the morgue wall. By evening Menglong had followed the trail to a downtown office once leased by Nova Arc Pictures. The door was padlocked, the windows dusted opaque, but through a crack Menglong saw lights flickering. He pried the door just wide enough to slip inside. Stacks of film reels covered the floor. On the wall, a corkboard pinned with production photos, every one of Menglong, caught mid-blink, mid-breath, eyes always looking just off camera as if watching someone else. Across the top, written in red grease pencil. Continuity. Never cut. In the corner, a projection unit hummed. Menglong pressed play. The screen filled with the morgue's security footage, but extended. After the phone stopped ringing, the camera didn't freeze like the public version. It panned slowly toward the drawer. A figure stepped into frame wearing a gray coat. He lifted the phone, pressed it to his ear, and whispered. Scene 14 confirmed. Proceed. Then he looked straight into the lens. Menglong shut down the projector and pulled the film reel off its spindle. The inner ring was engraved with coordinates, latitude and longitude pointing to a field outside the city limits. When Menglong reached the spot the next morning, all that remained was a burned patch of earth and half-melted pieces of camera glass. A black car idled nearby. The driver's window rolled down. The man behind the wheel wore the same gray coat. You've already written the ending, he said. You just haven't printed it yet. Then the car drove off, leaving tire tracks that vanished before the asphalt began. Back at Menglong's office, he compared voice prints from the morgue call and the projection recording. 99.8% match, Ming Zhao, former director, legally deceased 5 years earlier in a studio fire. Yet he was still calling. Menglong dug through old case files from that fire. 5 crew members missing, 1 body recovered but never positively identified. The recovered man had a phone fused to his hand. Model and serial number matched Menglong's device. At 2:47 a.m. the next night, Menglong's own phone rang. Unknown number. He hit record and answered. Static. Then 2 overlapping voices, Menglong's and Ming Zhao's, speaking in unison. Continuity restored. Thank you for completing scene 15. Menglong's computer monitor flickered. The file he'd been writing, the article draft, was being edited in real time. Sentences rearranged themselves. Words Menglong never typed appeared between the lines. The camera can't die before I do. Menglong pulled the plug from the wall. The screen stayed on. By dawn, every trace of the Nova Arc building had disappeared from municipal records. Satellite maps now showed an empty lot. When Menglong returned to the site, even the foundation was gone. Only a single phone rested in the dirt, its screen faintly glowing. It vibrated once and displayed a new message. Scene 16 begins when you write it. Menglong left it there, but back at home, every recording he'd ever made carried a faint heartbeat under the audio, 72 beats per minute, always in time with his own. Now the newsroom calls Menglong superstitious, the conspiracy reporter chasing frequencies and ghosts. But some nights, when he replays that first morgue clip, he notices something new each time, a reflection that wasn't there before, a shift in the background light, a faint outline leaning over locker 14. The story keeps editing itself, as though someone, or something, still wants to get the ending right. And every time Menglong stopped the playback, the timestamp resets to 2:47 a.m.